at the table. Today we are going to be making a new recipe that is new to our Med Instead of Meds website. I have yet to try it, but it looks really good, and it has all of the food groups that are really important for us, the same food groups we talked about last segment about with our Choose My Plate. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about portion sizes and just being mindful about the portions that we are eating. So we'll jump into that in just a second. We are making a Mediterranean bowl. So we are going to start with our broccoli. I'm switching this recipe up just a little bit. So we're going to just go ahead and roast our broccoli instead of doing it fresh like the recipe calls for. And just remember, recipes are not rules. They are just a guide for you to follow. You can change it up. You can do something different. Do things that fit to your taste. So I prefer my broccoli roasted. I think it gives it better flavor. I just enjoy that flavor more than broccoli raw by itself. So that's what we're going to change up just a little bit today. So for your broccoli, I just have my crown of broccoli here, and we're going to use our knife, nice firm grip, and we're just going to work our way around, slowly cutting off those stems. And you can save your the hardy stems of the broccoli for a soup or something like that later on. Or you can even chop it up even finer. These can actually be chopped up into fine little pieces, and you can cook them that way. They will get tender enough to eat. So these are pretty good in size. Some of these bigger ones, you might even want to cut down just a little bit. And you can even do that just by breaking it off with your fingers. So whatever you prefer. We don't want them too small because we're roasting. So then I'm just going to actually throw this all on the pan for now, do my other head of broccoli, and we'll do the same thing. So remember, nice firm grip, and just working our way around that. If you've never tried roasted broccoli, maybe you're not a broccoli fan, I highly recommend you to try it that way. I am actually not much of a raw broccoli fan. I enjoy it cooked if it's in small bites, but I don't really love the flavor of fresh broccoli. And that's okay. You know, I have found other ways that I can still enjoy it and eat it. And we're not all gonna like the same foods. So you can change this recipe up to whatever you enjoy. You could do cauliflower, and you can also roast the cauliflower as well. You could do a different type of hearty vegetable. You could up the other vegetables that we have in our recipe today instead of using broccoli. So you make this your own and what you enjoy. That looks pretty good. So we are done with that. I'm just going to set this to the side. And we're just going to throw a little bit of olive oil on this and salt and pepper. And we'll probably do maybe a tablespoon of olive oil. I just like to drizzle it all over the pan, and then I just use my hands. You could do this in a bowl as well. And cutting boards anyway. And just toss it all together so that it's evenly coated in the olive oil. So we do that, and we're gonna add just a little bit of salt and pepper. You could omit this if you want to. It's up to you. You could use another seasoning if you have something else you enjoy. And we're just gonna, a lot of times I don't even put salt and pepper actually on my roasted vegetables. I think they're so good just the way that they are. The roasting brings out kind of a char in any of your vegetables, and it just gives it a really good crunch. But the goal here is to try your best to not let them touch. I'm not gonna worry a whole lot about this because of what we're doing with this broccoli today. But a lot of times we want it to be nice and even, and the broccoli not to be touching each other, because when it starts to touch, you're actually steaming your broccoli more than actually roasting it. When it's not touching, it gives it that nice char, that nice crunch that we want. So just moving that around a little bit. We have our oven on 425. I like to put it at 425. It cooks a little bit faster. You could drop it down if you want to. It's up to you on what you feel like would be best. I usually do 425 for about 10 to 15 minutes. Sometimes I go a little bit longer than that just because I like mine really crispy, but around 10 to 15 is a good time if you are new to this. So we're gonna throw this in the oven. I'll see you guys back in just a second, and we'll work on the rest of our Mediterranean bowl.
Introducing the Star Communications app. All the tools you need in one convenient location. You can access Watch TV everywhere, check local channel lineup, check your Star email, view and pay your Star bill, report troubles, use your Star security app, check your home voicemail, sign up for Crowd Fiber, check your Wi-Fi speed. The list keeps going and going. Download for free from the App Store or Google Play.
All right, welcome back. So we are continuing with our Mediterranean bowl. So we're gonna start building our bowl from here. And this Mediterranean bowl is actually for one person. So it is just a single serving. So everything I make here today, you can count that as for one person. And that of course can adjust, depends on how hungry you are. So we talk a lot about being mindful, and sometimes our eyes can be bigger than our stomach. When we're eating, we wanna make sure that we are chewing all the way through, so we're not just putting it in our mouth and swallowing, because chewing is part of your digestive process. It helps your stomach to know food is coming and that you're getting fed. If you chew or swallow too quickly before you really chew through, that is when sometimes we feel like we're still hungry after we eat, but we've ate maybe a lot of food really quickly. So you just want to give your body time to know that you're full, know that it has been fed, so that we're not overeating. So we're gonna go ahead and start building this. The first thing that we have, I know this is a really big bowl, I just wanted to have plenty of room to work here, but we are gonna do 1.5 cups of brown rice. So that's kind of a lot, I feel like, for a single serving, but again, you adjust to what you enjoy and how much you wanna eat. You could absolutely make this and save it for later. I think it would be really good as a second meal, so a leftover meal. So 1.5 cups of brown rice. So this is really good if you just make a big batch of brown rice and then you've got that leftover, you could throw it in this bowl. All right, then I'm actually gonna start our chicken. So our recipe actually doesn't call for chicken, but I wanted to go ahead and add in a little bit of a protein in this, just so that it will fit onto our My Plate. Although we do have beans, which do fit into that protein category. But just to make this kind of more of a balanced meal, I wanted to go ahead and throw a little bit of chicken. If you're a vegetarian, or even vegan, I don't think there's anything in this recipe that you would be able to eat all of that. So you could leave the chicken out. The recipe actually calls for everything else but the chicken, but I wanted to add a little bit of chicken for this. So, like I said, recipes aren't rules. You could absolutely do something else. You could do shrimp, another type of fish. You could do a lean beef or pork. We just want to make sure we're choosing those lean cuts of meat when we're doing that. So we're gonna let that get warm for just a second. I have chicken breasts that were actually on sale. So make sure you're checking out the sales when you're at the grocery store. This was a manager special, which meant that it was going to go out within the next few days. It needed to be purchased. If you ever do that, just make sure that you are using it in the next couple days or freezing it. So what I actually did is I had, this is chicken breasts that were already cut up. I cut them they kind of look like tenderloin, so they're smaller little strips of chicken. And then the other half of the whole entire package, I just went ahead and diced up. So go ahead and if you're cutting chicken and doing all that stuff, go ahead and do the whole package. Do it all at once so that you've got it done and taken care of. Put it in a freezer bag and you've got it ready for a quick recipe later. All right, so we're just doing a little bit of salt and pepper, just eyeballing it. So just enough to flavor it. And just gonna move that around and coat it really well, and then we're gonna throw this on our pan. So you can kind of see the size that I have of our chicken. That one's a little skinny, but I try to do more like chicken tenderloin type chicken tenders, I guess, size-wise. And then the rest I diced up. You could absolutely do all of it diced. You could leave it as large chicken breasts. I personally feel that when I cut chicken, if I cut it up into smaller pieces, it looks like a lot more than if I just do one big chicken breast. So if you are trying to find ways to stretch your meat further, which can save you money, stretch a little bit further and fit it into more meals, then go ahead and cut it up and you'll see, wow, that's actually a lot of chicken. Say you have a small little piece of chicken that doesn't look that big. Once you cut it into diced little pieces, you'll see, wow, that's actually a lot of chicken. So do that little trick for you to stretch it further, especially if you've got a big family. All right, so the next thing that we have is our spinach. And we are gonna be doing just a cup of spinach roughly chopped. Now there is a little trick that you could do with this, and I'll show you that in just a minute, but personally it just takes a little bit more time than I like to spin. So like I said, this is roughly chopped. But the trick that I'm going to mention is the chiffonade technique, where you take several spinach leaves, stack it up, and then you can actually roll it. And it makes these little bitty ribbons. So it looks more fancy, it's really pretty. Again, that would take a long time for a whole cup of spinach. So you can get fancy if you want to. Say you're having a nice meal with some friends or family and you want to make it look really good, you could do that. But we're just going to roughly chop this. So I'm going to finish this up and then we'll see you guys back in just 1 second.
Sweetie, will you turn that down, please?
Keep life exciting, even when it's not. Watch TV everywhere from Star Communications.
Welcome back. We've got our chicken cooking over here and it's getting there. It's starting to get a nice little brown color. So we're gonna give it just a few more minutes and we're gonna finish up the rest of our Mediterranean bowl. So we have our brown rice and our spinach so far. These are chickpeas or garbanzo beans. You'll see them written the same way. And they're typically what is used to make hummus. If you've ever had hummus before, it's kind of like a bean dip because it uses chickpeas or garbanzo beans to make that. So we're gonna use these. We're just doing half a cup. I have already drained and rinsed these really well. Another tip for you is garbanzo beans are really tasty roasted in the oven. We have a honey roasted chickpea recipe on the Med Instead of Meds website. It makes them really crunchy. I've actually seen them in salads that way. So you could roast these along with your broccoli and it would be really, really good. We're not gonna do that today, but maybe for another show. And then the next thing we're gonna do is add our cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes, whatever you have. We're just gonna cut these in half. And y'all know me, I like to make things in smaller pieces. So actually I'm gonna cut these in 4 pieces. So I'm gonna quarter them. And we need half a cup of these. So I just like to cut long ways, rotate it, cut it again. You could cut it again long ways or cut it in half, either way. Now this recipe, you're getting more than our typical, what we would call serving of vegetables. So in terms of vegetables, we want 1 cup would be about the size of your fist. So you want to try to get that in with each meal. We really aim for 2.5 cups of vegetables a day. So try to get those in somehow. This recipe definitely helps you to fit that into your diet because you're getting more than that. We've got a cup of spinach, we've got half a cup of tomatoes, which technically are fruit, but either way. And then we've also got our broccoli, which is half a cup. So we're getting lots of vegetables that way. And this is the basis of our salad here. So we're just kind of waiting on our chicken and our broccoli. Your hand is a great tool. If you ever come to any of our workshops, your hand is a really great tool in order to tell how many servings, or sorry, your portion sizes of food that you should be having. So the palm of your hand, if you look at just the palm, that is the serving of meat, or the size of meat you should have with your meal. So think about if you got a big old steak and they gave you one the size of the palm of your hand, you might be a little disappointed, right? That is because we've had what we call portion distortion, where we have kind of trained our brains, or over time our portions have gotten larger and larger to where now our brain thinks that that's what we should have, right? Our brain thinks that our steak needs to be half the plate. In reality, it should only be the size of your palm. Same thing with any of your meats as well. And then I mentioned your fist. This is for vegetables or your grains. So any type of cereals, rice, pasta should be a fistful. That's how much we should have at a time. Your thumb, you could use this as your cheese amount. So it would be about, I think it's like 2 inches. So your thumb, that's how much cheese. So if you're eating like a whole bunch of cheese at one time, that's what we tend to do, right? That's a little bit more than we should be consuming. But everything is within a whole day. So I like to think of it more as a day's worth versus just each meal. Whatever works best for you. We all think differently, and finding a way that will help it to kind of click in your mind as to what you should have. And really that My Plate that we just did. So if you look back on our video from January, I believe it was 5th, check that out, and that really will show you what your plate should look like at each meal. So if that helps you as more of a visual aid for you to visualize this is what my plate should be, or you can think of it in a context of a whole day. I need to have 2.5 to 3 cups of vegetables. I need to have at least 2 servings of fruit. I need to have, 5 ounces, 4 ounces of meat at each serving. So whatever helps you to fit that healthy plate, eat healthy, make healthier choices throughout your day. So I think our chicken is done here. It looks pretty good. I'm gonna cut one in half and just check it out. Now the best way to really know if your chicken is done is to use our thermometer. It's like what I talk about each time. So your chicken should register at 165 degrees. I do have a thermometer over here. So we'll just double check it. And it smells good. And this bowl, I think I may have mentioned this before, I'm not sure, but it is supposed to be it's supposed to be like a Mediterranean cold salad bowl. So this chicken is warm. You could absolutely still eat it on top of that, or you could refrigerate it first. But let's check our chicken really quick, see where we're at. So when you're checking any type of meat, you want to put it in, I'm in Celsius. Put it in the thickest part of the meat. And we're climbing, we're at 160. And just make sure it gets to 165 and it is safe to eat. So we're there. So this is probably my biggest piece of chicken that I have, so that lets me know the rest of the chicken should be good to go. So we're gonna go check on our broccoli. We'll see you guys back in just 1 second.
After completing my contract, I still have to buy out of it? Come on. Here's your sign.
Switch to the sign that's keeping homes secure and customers happy all over the area. Security from Star Communications. We pride ourselves on fair pricing and quick, friendly service every time.
Somebody try to break into this place?
Security from Star Communications.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're finishing up our Mediterranean bowl and our roasted broccoli is done. It smells so good. And you can just tell it has a nice little char to it. As I said, it's not quite as, there are a few pieces that are a little bit more, not quite as charred and crunchy as I typically like. and that is because I didn't separate them to make them fully roasted. Again, with what we're making today, perfectly okay. It's still gonna be really good. So you just do what works best for you. But we are gonna do 1/2 cup of this broccoli. And you can save this broccoli for later. I love to do like a whole pan of roasted vegetables and then use it throughout the week. So I put it in tacos, I throw it into pasta recipes, stir fries, really anything. It just helps to cut back on your cooking time and gives it a different flavor than if you were to stir fry or something like that along with whatever you're making. I'm gonna scoot this out of the way. It's actually not too hot now. And we're gonna move our bowl here. And then we have our chicken. So like I said, palm of your hand, so think about how much that is. So we're just gonna throw a few pieces of that in here. I'm gonna use about 1/2 of it. And you could chop that up into smaller pieces if you choose. That is totally up to you. And then the last thing is to do our dressing. So with our dressing, I like to use that mason jar. You've seen me do it multiple times, but we are just gonna throw it all in there and shake it. This is, I believe it's a lemon herb dressing. And we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of olive oil. May have been a little bit more, but I love olive oil. It's one of my favorites. And then we're gonna do a tablespoon of lemon juice. This is very easy. So a lot of times we say making your own dressings or marinades is that oil, then your acid, which is our lemon juice here. Other recipes we've done vinegar. Those are probably the 2 most common, either a citrus like orange juice, lemon juice, lime juice, or a vinegar is typically what we put in our dressings as our oil and acid. And then your seasonings. So our seasoning here is our oregano. And we're just gonna do a teaspoon of that. And then it says salt and pepper to taste. So we're just gonna throw a little bit of that into our dressing here. Throw your lid on and shake it on up. This one doesn't have to shake quite as long as some of the other dressings we might have done, just because it doesn't really have anything that needs to blend together other than your herbs with your oil and vinegar. So very simple, you just toss it all together. It looks so pretty, and this is all, I mean, this is 1 serving, so you could eat this whole thing. This would just be all you would have for that meal. Keep in mind, anytime you read serving size, it just is a way to give you an idea of calories and all of that. So if you're reading a nutrition facts label and it says a certain serving size, like 1 cup, it's not necessarily a suggested amount. We all do different things, right? So we all have different jobs. Some of us might be sitting all day. Some of us might have a job where we're constantly up, moving around. Maybe you're a runner, you like to run a lot. Maybe you enjoy walking, or you're finding other ways to move throughout the day. All of that affects kind of our calories in, calories out, that type of stuff. So if you're really looking to count calories and paying more attention to that, I recommend seeing a dietitian. That's the best way to go. But if you're just being more mindful about the choices that you're making, trying to keep to those portion sizes, trying to eat more vegetables throughout your day, be mindful about the meats and how much we're eating of that, and just really trying to follow that My Plate, you will see a difference, you will feel better. So mindfulness is key. And definitely try to fit that into your New Year goals, your New Year resolution, and make that part of something you focus on throughout this year. So I hope you guys enjoy this. We cannot wait to try it, and let us know if you like it. Have a good one.